Want to be sure you're getting the most out of your retirement for all the years of your retirement? That's the primary goal of More Living with Jim Brogan and our Dollars and Cents segment, where we provide you with an important financial tip that will help positively impact the quality of your life in retirement. And now here's Jim with this week's Dollars and Cents tip.
Today, I'm going to have an extended Dollars and Cents tip to take us through the end of the show. And basically, I want to talk about the new resolution to the fiscal cliff, or was it a resolution? And how's it going to affect you and me into 2013 and beyond? So, as you know, and I kind of gave the outline of the tax pieces of the resolution, they basically just made permanent the Bush tax cuts for families under $450,000 of income, individuals under $400,000. It is of note that the payroll tax is going back up. It is a 2% increase in payroll tax. So if your paycheck is $2,000, your income's going to go back down by 2% of that on your take-home pay. That's $40. So just be aware of that. You'll need to include that type of planning in your budget. It was a last-minute deal. I know from talking to many of you through the week, and I would echo these thoughts, is, man, isn't it frustrating that we know of this challenge for really a couple of years, and they get a deal done on New Year's Day, it gets finalized, really, in effect, after the Bush tax cuts have expired. I mean, because they expired at midnight, December 31st, and really no meaningful legislation. I mean, they needed to make, in my opinion, some of those tax cuts permanent, especially on, I don't want to get too political, but they needed to make some of those tax cuts permanent because of the state of the economy and the recovery. But there was nothing done in terms of deficit reduction, real true deficit reduction and cuts in spending. And I know most of you believe we need substantial cuts in spending. Heck, even most Democrats will say we need cuts in spending. It's just agreeing with the Republicans on what those cuts need to look like. So the big story of the week, of course, is the passage of the bill preventing the middle class tax hikes, which were the biggest worry among the many tax increases and spending cuts that we've collectively known as the fiscal cliff. The bill raises taxes on households with incomes over $450,000. Details of the bill really are still coming out, but there will be a bigger story emerging over the next couple of months. There are still substantial tax increases coming. I mentioned the payroll tax hike, and there is still a mini cliff fight looming over spending, complete with a debt ceiling standoff, which figures to play out over the next 2 months. They did not cut spending. The sequestration that you've heard about, which is the mandatory cuts in spending that were set to take place without a new deal, they just kicked the can down the road for 2 months. And as part of that negotiation, there's going to be the debt ceiling involved there. So, we got a lot of stuff that's still going on. And the Republicans want dollar-for-dollar cuts to match whatever increase we have in the debt ceiling. We are headed down an unsustainable path with our fiscal challenges, as you know. I don't think anybody would object to that. Nobody I've talked to would object to the idea that this is an unsustainable course that we're charting. So Congress has shown, in my view, over the last 3 years, really probably goes back further than that, really 4, 5, 6 years, maybe even further, but certainly in the recent years has shown an inability to deal with these challenges. And I think a lot of that is the short-term nature of our election cycles. And then also the polarization of America. If you follow the elections, the blue areas are becoming much bluer. The red areas are becoming much redder. And so what happens is that the constituents, let's face it, East Tennessee is very red, over 2-1, Republican to Democrat, red to blue. So over 2. It's closer to 70-30 in East Tennessee. It's 2-1 for the entire state, and this is the most conservative area in the state. So, we want our congressmen, as collectively, as a red area, we want our congressmen to act on our red principles. But then you have other more urban areas, Atlanta, Charlotte, then up into New York. Of course, the big areas in the Northeast and out West are even more adamant about, a more left-wing agenda. So it's just a difficult environment that we're in. So what does that mean for you and me? What does that mean for you as your plan for your retirement years, which should be the greatest years in your life? I think that there are 3 things that I think are pretty certain to happen. Not an absolute, but I think are pretty certain to happen over the next 10, 15 years. One is I think you're going to see tax increases for just about every taxpayer. I know we're not seeing that right now, and some of you would argue with me about that. But when you look at our budget challenges, you look at our debt, you look at our aging demographic and the problem with funding Medicare, I think you're going to see tax increases in our future for everyone. And remember, we just had a tax increase. Don't be distracted. We just saw a tax increase on all wage earners in America because of the payroll tax going back up. Okay? So I think we'll see more tax increases for all income earners, just about. I think we will see, number 2, lower benefits from the government, cuts in entitlements. We have tremendous budget challenges, and so everybody's probably going to have to make sacrifices. So we're going to see greater taxes, less benefits. And then I do think down the road, it's likely that we're going to see a showdown with inflation. I think it may be a while before we have that showdown. But I think eventually we probably will. I think the first 2 things are even more certain. Increase in taxes, reductions in benefits. So how do you plan for that? It means, number 1, you need to be more self-sufficient. If you're still working and you're wanting to retire, you need to provide more, you need to build more sources for income in retirement to help supplement your Social Security and maybe your pension. Your healthcare costs are probably going to go up. Medicare benefits may go down. So you need to be, you need to include some of those types of potentialities in your planning. And then I think you need a plan to fight inflation long term. But you know what? We've always needed that. I mean, in a normal inflationary environment, the first 10 years of retirement, you'll need your income to go up by 40% or you're losing money. That's just in a normal inflationary environment. So if you retire with a $50,000 annual income, counting your Social Security pension and maybe a little bit of, some additional supplement from your life savings as income. If you're living on $50,000 a year when you first retire in a normal inflationary environment, in 10 years that'll need to be $70,000 a year, or you're losing money. In another 10 years, in 20 years, that'll have to be up to $98,000. Or you're losing money. So in the first 20 years, you need to double your income. And that's in a normal inflationary environment. So you need plans to be able to deal with all this. You also need plans to deal with the increased volatility that uncertainty is likely to create in the markets, because things are uncertain and we're almost on a monthly or at least on a quarterly basis having these tremendous issues because we keep kicking the can down the road. I do want to mention it's a great opportunity. I have my upcoming 2-part class, Financial Survival for Retirement, at the University of Tennessee. It starts, the first class is 3 weeks from Tuesday. That's Tuesday, January the 29th and February the 5th. That's at the Downtown Conference Center at UT. They have easy parking, catty-cornered right across the street from the Downtown Conference Center. I'd love to see you there. You can it's $59. You can contact the University of Tennessee at 974-0150. You can also go to my website to find all my upcoming classes at www.broganfinancial.com. Click on the link for upcoming classes. You can also follow us at Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. All those links are on our website at broganfinancial.com. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We focused on your health, because greater health provides for more living so you can live the best years of your life your way. Be sure to tune in next week where I'm going to talk about top financial tips for 2013 and cover some myths that you might want to be aware of in financial planning. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is More Living with Jim Brogan, only on the News and Talk of East Tennessee, News Talk 98.7. Have a great week.
The views expressed by Jim Brogan and his